Righto, boys. Third time's a charm. We are not live on Facebook and YouTube. We've had to abandon that. However, we're going to do a local recording onto my computer, and then we can distribute it through our YouTube channels. Grant, I'll give it to you. Leigh, I'll give it to you, mate, as well. Yeah. Anthony, and then we can distribute it later. Yeah. So we've started two conversations. And we had an excellent conversation last night. Audio didn't work because of the Wi-Fi. And we had an excellent conversation for about 12 minutes a little while ago, and that didn't work because of the Wi-Fi. Welcome to Cardwell.
Yeah, welcome to far North Queensland.
Welcome to far North Queensland. So that we, for the third time, and thank you very much, Cardwell. What an amazing experience it's been here. The people have been so welcoming. Thank you to Thea. Thank you to the Seabreeze Cafe. We're set up down here in the Seabreeze Cafe. The ambient noise and the dings you hear are people coming to get their lunch and breakfast and stuff. So,
and an awesome coffee.
Awesome coffee. Yeah. Excellent coffee. And just thank you to Thea and to Chris and to the UTC boys, Daniel, Braden, Brian.
I keep mentioning this Chris fella. Who is this Chris fella we keep talking about?
Stop it.
No, it's no easy feat to organise a conference. So, yeah, absolutely. Kudos to Thea and everyone that's involved.
Absolutely. It's been amazing. Yeah. It's and welcome to Leigh as well. He's doing the documentary, and we've had two really cool conversations. No one's heard them really, but we've
not yet. Well, we hope at least heard something of it.
Yes, yeah. Well, I think as we've said, and we'll try and pretend not to say as we've said before, but I think meeting each other face to face is the cool thing that's happened.
Yes,
and I think it's a lot of us these guys are floating heads to me. It's awesome to meet you as well, mate, and. Well, let's pick up where we were talking, because I think we're in an interesting conversation. Just reiterate, Grant. So we're talking about Ross Koulart, Lockheed Martin, Tic Tac, and the fact that Ross came out a few days ago and said that the Tic Tac owned Lockheed Martin. And I agree with you. All, David Fravor, Grusch, all that stuff, they've said that the Tic Tac was NHI. Is that
yeah, well, and Ross did a great Q&A session yesterday on day one, and we've for me, for a number of years, Dr. Stephen Greer has said, Tic Tac is Lockheed Martin. And then for Ross to come out and say that only recently on Need to Know that he does or did now with Bryce Zabel, that kind of, I think, blindsided a lot of us, because we've heard for so long from firsthand witnesses like David Fravor, Alex Dietrich, Jay Stratton during the ORSAP days with Bass. He did a summary or a brief on the Tic Tac incident. Bass did a 140-page technical summary, scientific analysis of the Tic Tac incident, and it's all pointed towards something that is not human.
Yeah, we
not
thought it was NHI, exactly. Yeah,
and then so for now Ross to be in that Lockheed Martin camp, it's just very, very interesting, and you kind of don't know what to believe, what not to believe, and we would all love to see evidence. We would love to see more information come to light, but that's the frustrating thing about this topic is you're constantly like a needle, a barometer. You're leaning one way and then you lean another way, and it's very hard to stay neutral on this topic, which we all try and do.
We try to. I mean, Anthony's question was really good to Ross yesterday, and you got Ross Coulthard to swear. I'll give you that, man. That's great. It was great.
He got very defensive on that one, actually. I didn't mean any disrespect by it, but it is frustrating, on the UFO community's behalf. That we want answers, and we're sick of all these claims that they know things but they can't share it with us, sort of thing. And so I asked the question, what's stopping you with coming forward with all the evidence and naming names and backing up your claims and all sorts of stuff, and just throwing these people under the bus and mentioning them and throwing them right out in the open, and giving them no option to go and back out from whatever these claims are, as long as the evidence is there. And he got a little bit defensive on it. He goes obviously we can't give away sources and stuff like that, and protecting people and whatnot, because people's lives are at stake when it comes to that sort of claims and stuff like that, which is fair enough, I know. But there's got to be a point too, though, where if you know something there that's in regards to national security and someone has the answers there to go, hey, look, this is actually something that is, say, NHI or something, an adversary, call them out, hey, this is something, know the answers to this. Why are you being so secretive on this and not just telling us what the answers are that we need to know?
And look, and I think it was a good question, because a lot of people have that question, and I don't think it was disrespectful at all. And I think it was a good question because
It's the frustration we all feel.
It's a frustration we all feel, but also in Ross's defense, a lot of people don't know the golden rule of investigative journalism, which is you don't put out information to the public domain that could jeopardize a source or the way in which you interact, or sources and methods. And you know, to Ross's credit, and also to folks like Michael Schellenberger, you know, who kind of was behind the Immaculate Constellation reporting, irrespective of what one thinks of it, to their credit, they've never revealed any information that would jeopardize their source. And whilst that's incredibly frustrating for us as folks that are interested in this topic and want to know more information, you know, we're constantly torn because we want that info, but we can also respect their obligation to protecting their sources and methods. But
on the other part of that too, like okay, they're reporting this, what they've found and all of that without giving up sources too. Like, but then you look at like Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp and then Stephen Greer, and they keep dropping these cliffhangers on us there. And like, what are they trying to achieve out of this? Like, but because they're not really giving us too much, but like, are they monetizing off this or trying to make some sort of show out of this? And that's where it becomes a bit of a circus for the whole UFO community, because we're trying to find answers here, left, right, and center, and no one's really giving us real definitive answers on anything.
And I think what we spoke about last night, and Leigh, you were speaking on this because you're a videographer, you've done a lot of video stuff. Yeah. We can release. Well, what we spoke about, the fact that, you know, less than 24 hours, we got 4K footage of the bombing in Iran. And they didn't let us see nothing they didn't want us to see. You can blur things, you can take things out. They could provide good quality video evidence without revealing sources and methods if they chose to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think with modern day technology, there's no excuse, especially the gimbal videos, etc.
Yeah.
It's as if they're already grained up. They deliberately grained them up, etc.
Well, because that was 2005, wasn't it? The gimbal and the Go Fast was
2014, 15.
2014 was Go Fast. Yeah.
So the technology was reasonably back then.
Well, HD at least.
At least, yeah.
But again, we're playing with 2K. What's the military playing with? You know what I mean? That's there's a difference there.
But look, just today, the US All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, ARO, dropped a new video on its
today as we sit here
on its X channel of I mean, grainy as F footage, so doesn't really but sanitized, so redactions where there's the heads up display data. And so to your point, if they can release video footage and sanitize it, where is the high fidelity, high resolution stuff
that we keep being promised?
And we've been told about that exists. I mean, you only have to listen to Hal Puthoff when he was on an interview with Jesse Michaels and Eric Weinstein some years back. The question was asked of Hal Puthoff is, you know, how good a quality do they have? And he's saying as good as you can want.
Yeah.
So why is the Pentagon, and not just folks like Corbell and Knapp, but why is the Pentagon so quick to release the day after, you know, that high fidelity footage of the bombing of the nuclear sites in Iran, and they'll happily release high resolution footage of an MQ-9 Reaper drone being doused with fuel from a Russian jet, but they won't release any other footage taken on other platforms, when we know that they have the capability of sanitizing the information that's in the footage.
Yeah.
I think we need to go back to the original point, is when you said about, Ross said about the Tic Tac, how powerful are these private corporations and what tech have they got, and how much sway do they have with the American government and the military?
Well, I mean, there's a term that became commonplace over the last couple of years, and there's a lot of these terms that we're a bit apathetic after the last 5 years. We can't talk about Fight Club. That's the first rule of Fight Club. Can't talk about Fight Club. However, Breakaway Civilization, right? In preparation for reviewing the talk that I gave yesterday about Otis Carr, I re-listened to my old episodes. That's the handy thing about having a podcast. You want to cover a topic, just go back and have a listen. Right. All my studies already done. But in the research for Otis and looking into the black programs, it was $21 trillion that they can't account for.
That's a lot of money,
right? Breakaway. That if you needed money to create a Breakaway Civilization, I'd say 21 trillion might do it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, how do you even fathom that amount of money, right? What I mean, a million, a billion, a trillion. There's that much. How much money missing? No, it's not trillion. Sorry, I think it was 200 and
No, it's trillion.
It is
Sorry, I remember
no, it's 21, isn't it? 21 trillion.
It was
Yeah.
in 2000 and
Was it? No, it's 2.1 trillion.
yeah, 2001.
Yeah.
Donald Rumsfeld
Yeah, 2.1 trillion.
said in a public statement that the Pentagon cannot account for 2.1 trillion
dollars. Yeah, that's
and like
right.
I mean, how do you not account for that amount of money, taxpayer money?
And what happened like the next day or 2 days later?
9/11.
9/11.
Yep.
And that money's still missing.
Yep.
I mean, where do you lose 2.1 trillion? It's not under the couch. You know?
And all the questions that should have been asked following on from Donald Rumsfeld's statements are then lost in the news cycle because of 9/11.
Because of 9/11.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, yeah, I mean, and again, look, you talk about high fidelity video. We got high fidelity video out of Iraq and Afghanistan for 20 years of combat.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, look, probably one of the good, probably the only really good bit of footage I've seen released is this Mosul sphere, because that's pretty high resolution. The sphere that runs across the ground.
Oh,
You've seen
yeah,
that one? That one's not bad. That's as far as footage is concerned. But again, these guys, yeah, I agree. Corbell, Knapp, these guys could release it with sanitized and not release sources.
So let's dive on that. So what do you think is the reason why high fidelity footage, if it can be sanitized and released, why is it not being disclosed?
I reckon it's going to be some sort of like control.
Yeah.
Whatever they know, they can't release it because obviously the years that they've been trying to hide this technology or any like sort of integrations with any sort of NHI or anything in regards to this sort of topic, they're just trying to hide the control of that and trying to, I guess hide it. And because there's a lot to be accounted for, like, you know, with their investigations, like people have gone missing, you know, families have been threatened, all sorts of stuff. You know, the list can go
People
on.
have been killed over this.
Yeah, exactly. So
yes, I hear a lot of drip feed disclosure through my interviews I've been filming this weekend. That it's almost a drip feed because they're not sure how society will handle the whole thing.
That was my point. It's like what we don't understand is that we live inside a bubble, right? We've got our own rabbit holes. You've got your show, I've got my show, you're doing your thing. We overlap, and because like attracts like, we hang around and speak to a lot of people who are like, yeah, let's go. You know, we want free energy, we want the technology. But again, we can't talk about Fight Club. However, we saw in the last 5 years, there's still a vast percentage of the population that will walk lockstep if they're told to, right? Yeah. That still are attached to the old way, that are entrenched in the system that has been created. I think it's control. However, you got to follow the money as well. Like, I think that's the big part, right? They are making so much money out of the current technology stream that we are on. And I think the other thing too is, how do you explain that? Oh, sorry, we cracked anti-gravity in 1957 and we just decided to, you know, destroy the planet and take all your money for the last 60 years because that made us money. You know what I mean? It gave us power, it gave us control. And as much as I again, thank you for making Ross Coulart swear. It was awesome. I do agree with his journalistic integrity. However, at the same time, what's the point? Why are we doing this? Right? It's like, yes, he can't. I wonder with a guy like that too, how many, because you've got to filter out certain people, don't you? I mean, what is real, what is not? Right. I mean, I want to have you on and talk about paranormal stuff, by the way. I want to go back.
Okay. What I found when I've been filming or when I did research for the film, the amount of people will tell me stuff, but I won't go on camera. Even this weekend, I've had people say, I won't go on camera and tell you this. And it seems everyone seems to have, or the people I've been around have always said they've got something they won't put on camera. And it's frustrating. And it's causing a societal frustration, is that they'll give you a tidbit and then, but I won't acknowledge that I ever said that to you. Yeah. And then if you did say anything, you've broken trust. So it comes back onto you as a moral issue.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating, you know.
But what I found, it's the same with the ancient civilization stuff. It's the same with that as well, is, I can't tell you the secret. I know the secret, but I
Yeah.
can't tell you the secret.
And Ross has been good for that. Like, if I could tell you what I know now,
Yeah.
that's the frustrating part. It's like, that's where it irks everyone up really bad. And like, because everyone just wants to know the truth.
Yeah.
And it's just, the cliffhangers are the part that annoys everyone.
So what do you gents think? I don't know where I quite sit on this, but the potential counterintelligence value that the UAP topic offers. For example, if the Pentagon was to release high fidelity, high resolution, sanitized footage of something that is truly extraordinary, the whole maxim, you tell your friends, you tell your enemies. So if they do release footage of something that points to something that is non-human, that's not ours, then does that then give China or Russia motivation to say, well, we need to really ramp up our espionage efforts to find out what the US has on its books? Tell your enemies.
On paper, that makes total sense. However, if you do a little bit of digging, Russia and China have got their own sightings. There's a whole that all redacted files out of Russia in the 90s, the UFO stuff. China's all over it. I mean, it's in South America, and like France has their own. I know you spoke about the French; they have their own program. It's not like this isn't going on all around the world at the same time, and it looks to be a race to actually decode it. However, yeah, look, I can see why they would make that a reason. However, it seems like we're hell-bent on destroying ourselves, right? I'm trying not to get politically and conspiracy minded.
They all know.
Exactly.
Well,
This is what I mean.
each other's got.
Well, we just spoke about Breakaway Civilization. The question is, who's actually in control?
Well, for me, I feel like the way the Americans act, waving their dicks around, go, look at us, we've got all the big, massive technology. Like, you'd think they would jump forward and go, hey, I've got this anti-gravity thingy. What have you got? Ha ha.
Because if you had that technology mastered, that's the next deterrent, isn't it? We have
a competitive advantage.
Yeah, we have transmedium anti-gravity tech that we can just pop out of the earth and be with, right there, right?
So on the flip side of that, though, like, and this was what I found very interesting during Ross's Q&A yesterday, is that, he spoke to how his sources are telling him that now China has made significant leaps and bounds, than the US has on reverse engineering.
He suspects that they're ahead. He suspects.
So he's saying China now has the competitive advantage. So that kind of then goes in the face of that argument of, well, tell your friends, tell your enemies. If China's got the competitive advantage, then US is behind the 8 ball, and that includes us as Australia, who's an ally and Five Eyes partner.
Well, that is true. And and Ross's point was that we're about to spend $400 billion on submarines that don't work.
$500 billion for outdated tech. If they've got exotic propulsive.
I didn't want to send him down a rabbit hole with a question about that, because weren't the Collins class submarines a waste of time too? Didn't we waste untold billions on those as well?
Yep.
Yeah.
And so originally Australia had an agreement with France.
That's right.
So to get out of the agreement, we had to pay France $900 million in compensation. So almost $1 billion of taxpayer money has been wasted already. And now we're spending $500 billion on these Virginia-class nuclear attack submarines. So are we, and to Ross's point, are we investing, is Australian taxpayers footing the bill for lemons, for technology
that doesn't
redundant?
exist? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Leigh, you were going to say something then, mate?
I forgot what I was going to say.
That's all right. I was thinking you were about to say something, but yeah.
Well, I mean, we've spun down a bit of a different rabbit hole. A question would be, Leigh, like, where do you sit with this discussion we're having about technology? Do you think that releasing it would be good, bad, or ugly? Where do you sit?
I think society has become very controlled and manipulated by these world governments. I think they treat people a bit like lemmings and keep them in the dark. We saw how everyone complied with the COVID restrictions.
Without question. Yeah.
And to me was like a big social experiment.
Absolutely it was. They were gathering data for sure, yeah.
The way they control it is they control the narrative, and it's frustrating, and it's a few people. You hear people talk about the gatekeepers, they talk about a handful of people.
Yeah.
I think that all the countries involved, Russia, China, America, they've all got a very good idea of what each other's got.
Yeah.
And I think
at a higher level.
Yeah, and it's a race to the bottom.
Yeah.
Is what they're doing. And one of the reasons I got into making this film was they've got all this amazing tech, which we know they've got a lot of it. They deny they've got a lot of it. And they're using it to kill people when they could be using it to cure cancer.
Exactly.
Alzheimer's, with the scalar stuff and all that stuff they can use. And you hear people talk that they've done experiments that can actually stop cancer, Alzheimer's, it can blow the molecules apart and that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're using it to kill each other. And it's just sad. It's ridiculous. It is literally a race to the bottom of who can build the biggest and nastiest weapon.
Yeah. And when you talk about control too, like, you know, we've got the social medias there that sort of keep us locked into our phones, and that's controlling the narrative there on that regard too. And then especially when we'll start looking into the UFO topic and stuff like, or even any other topic regarding the world wars and whatnot, whatever gets shown up in our feed there, like, you know, we're getting doom locked in our phones, they're scrolling through them. We'll be coming across like bullshit articles that's not relative or true to what they're trying to, you know, make a point of, or especially like, you know, fake videos of UFOs, people trying to make claims on that sort of stuff. And they got AI coming into it as well. It's becoming really hard to sort of decide on what's real and what's not these days, what's coming through as truth or not.
And you look at with experiences with which we deal with, what does society, first thing they say, call them kooks, lunatics, tinfoil hat wearers.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, Lee, but didn't you originally go into this one trying to disprove it as well?
Yeah. I was very skeptical. 2 years ago, I was up here. And then when the experiences walked on stage, I walked straight to the pub because it wasn't believable. Then I had an experience, a private mental health experience that carries a lot of stigma. And I saw the way people didn't know how to interact with me. That made me think, hold on, what's it like for these people that have had a secret for 20, 30, 40 years, and the way they get people react with them, which gave me almost an epiphany. That, hold on, I know what it's like when people stop coming around, stop calling, they can't look you in the eye. So what is it, someone who's had an experience 30, 40 years ago, what it must be like every day you're trying to tell someone this is what happened, and the stigma is so great. And that's why it's important when we do this film is that we get these people's stories out there, that they're average people, they've had extraordinary experiences, because it could be anyone. It could be anyone you pass in Coles, Woolworths, the high street you work with. You know, and there's so many people keep quiet. I have people that say, oh, I'll call you when my husband's out. You know, or they'll put the phone down, or my wife just walked in, or my partner said, if I keep talking about this, they're going to walk out the door. These are real things.
This is really what happened.
This has been what's said to me. One lady said, I'll talk to you when my husband's at bowls. Or I had a woman, it's really, my partner's so patient, because she said, I only talk to you if you're in a room on your own. I had to go down the back of the house. And it sounds funny, but she was petrified of anyone hearing what she had to say.
And well, I think a traumatic experience is a traumatic experience. And us as observers, I've never had an experience like that. We've heard a lot of stories about it. I've had some trippy things happen, but nothing like that. And it would be hard to describe it. And I think there's a certain PTSD that comes with that. And there's a certain stigma that's attached to talking about that stuff. And it comes back to control as well, because, well, when we were up at 1:30 in the morning last night and we watched Sunrise talk about the rocket thing, and they had the X-Files music playing in the background.
All the time.
Right. So they're always attaching the stigmatism, they're always attaching the lunacy to it. However, you know, again, part of the other research, that's actually a psyop that was created by the CIA, right? Mockingbird, right?
Exactly.
It's literally, you can look it up, and it's like to control the social media, to control the narrative, and to control and all that sort of stuff. That's what they've been doing. They've been experimenting on us for a long time. And what's surprising to me, again, listening to you guys, and like you said, Lee, you're trying to focus in on Australian experiences. There's an Australia-sized hole, not only the UAP topic. I mean, Grant, you've covered it. Our government is just like heads in the sand. They're just apathetic. They don't care. You know. Well,
here's, and before we kind of get into that, here's a kind of what if scenario, and I kind of get your thoughts, Lee, and you fellas. What if there is a disclosure moment, and you know the the metaphorical situation where the president comes out before the in front of the podium and says, NHI technology is real. The US has had crash retrievals. Does that kind of disclosure event completely and automatically change the conversation that we have with experiences? And does that immediately eradicate the stigma that's impacted experiences for decades?
Well, in 2021, Congress came out and said aliens are real and UFOs are real, and no one cared.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
No one cared. So
Noah Elizondo said Roswell's real.
Yeah.
He said it happened. And where was the press coverage for that? That should have been front page news.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's confirmed what anyone in the community knew. It happened, he said.
But
I mean, technically, that's already happened, Grant.
Yeah. But I think what it needs to happen is there has to be the president to do it.
It has. Yeah, I agree. It has. But
You're talking like a full address to the world media.
I would say that 99% of the population has no idea who Lil Elizondo is. However, if something from someone that is such on that high pedestal as the president of the United States or a high-ranking government official at that level came forward and made that revelation, does that change the conversation, or would a lot of people just go about their day job and worry about the next paycheck and putting food on the table?
I think people will probably still go, oh wow, okay, shit is real, but then I think it will open up a big world for a lot of people to go, well, the people who have been claiming they can contact these alien beings and such, or having these abductions and that, they're going to be like, well, maybe they weren't as crazy as what they made out to be. And
does it give them vindication?
Then that's right. And that's not to say like not everyone is having these experiences there, because there's a bit of a psychological something going on there with some people, but there are people who are having genuine abductions and some sort of experience in that nature. And then it has to go and create another investigation or some sort of accountability in regards to the government's neglecting over years and years of not coming forward with NHI or any sort of beings or whatever they figured out in the past there. There has to be some sort of accountability on these people's behalf.
Well, I know that like Joe Rogan's talked about like having an amnesty, right? If we would have a true disclosure moment like you're talking about, before we do that, we need to have an amnesty, because the reality is people have been killed over this secret. Lives have been ruined. People have been discredited. People have had their businesses, and people have there's been pain and trauma associated with keeping this secret under wraps. But would everybody be okay with that amnesty is the other question.
Well, for me, you hear me in my talk this afternoon, I talk about societal disclosure. Society, not just us.
What time did you talk, mate?
4:30, I think.
Okay.
Society's got to want disclosure. If the majority have got to want in the community, say enough's enough, we remember we're in a bubble.
Yeah.
We live and breathe this all the time in different forms.
That's right.
It's the average man in the street or a woman in the street, schools, places like that. People got to say, okay. And that's the attitudes that we need to change to make them more aware, to put pressure on governments to disclose. Because at the moment it's a very small group of people, really, even though the figures in all the polls, so like the Roper poll in the 90s shows that 4 million people in America could have had an experience. How many of those people are willing to put their hand up?
Yeah.
And that's where it's got to come from.
Yeah. So it's like you said earlier, like, people are stuck in their old ways. And so once we get past the narrative of religions and the control of that sort of side of things, and like we sort of are a little bit, I feel, breaking away, as we're not very religious orientated these days, not as much.
Well, science is the new religion.
Yeah, and we're sort of breaking away from that sort of religious stigma. And I think over the years, I think we will sort of be a bit more open with the new generation. Like, the ideas that something is out there, like especially now, like if we're getting taught or told that the NHI is actually real and they're aware of it. So I'm hoping this new generation will come forward and start asking questions about this a lot more.
Well, the other problem they're going to have is that if they have to admit that they've had this technology since the 50s or 60s, or even if they cracked it in the 90s or whatever, whenever it happened, they have to rewrite history, because that means they've known for a long time, right? If, part of the talk I gave yesterday was that, some of these things, the story is they are gifts. So then that means there was definitely an advanced ancient civilization, undeniably, because they found some of these things. they found some of these discs, right? That's the other story. That they found
archaeological.
They've found the ships in a dig, right?
But that's gathering traction now with people like Graham Hancock when he's done stuff on Netflix. It's become more mainstream with the Netflix shows showing these sort of ancient civilizations, not what you do yourself. Before it was like everyone would laugh at it. It was pseudoscience.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but but how do they walk that back? Because then I think what they're afraid of is if they start admitting this stuff, it will create a snowball effect where people will just revolt in general, because it's like, well, if that's not real, nothing, like I wonder it could cause chaos. It could.
And I think to your point, if there isn't a truth and reconciliation or an amnesty approach taken, then the U.S. government is going to open itself to massive litigation,
Absolutely,
and class action lawsuits and stuff
across the world.
Exactly. And we've heard that that's one of the challenges. How does the U.S. government navigate those waters if they have been, operating these clandestine crash retrieval and reverse engineering programs?
That's what I mean. Someone needs to be held accountable.
Yeah.
There's also, does the average man in the street care?
That's the other question.
And that's the biggest thing. We can sit here and discuss it for hours, but does the guy driving past there really?
Yeah, the bloke in the Hilux that just drove past, does he even know? And well, again, we go back to control, right? I think I was on the Grimerica Outlawed show talking about the past 5 years, last week before, and it's the distractions, right? I think I wrote a poem about in 22, and one of them was, the virus went away. A virus can tell the time. They distracted it. The line I'm thinking of is they distracted us with war. Remember, because it was like COVID ended Ukraine within 3 days.
Yep.
Right? Within 3 days. And that was the next distraction. And the line is, they distracted us with war. For those still thinking clearly, it reminded us of Orwell's 1984. Right? Because that is the thing too. They're changing our history. They're changing the meaning of words. They're changing that. There's a whole list of books that you're not supposed to read anymore. That they rose the price of everything. It's like everything's so much more expensive. Why? There's no actual reason for that to happen, apart from whoever's in control of the dollars and cents decided that that's what was going to happen.
Yeah.
There's no reason for it.
No, there wasn't.
Right?
Absolutely not.
No, what's society done about it?
Nothing.
Everyone's just sat there and let it happen.
Exactly.
You look at what's on the TV at night. It's McDonald's for your brain. It's rubbish.
Yeah.
It's so they've had such a control for so long, and like you said, no one's complaining about it.
No.
So will there ever be a true paradigm shift, do you think?
Eventually, it has to eventually.
One of it's a bit of what I've wondered, because obviously during the last 5 years, a percentage of people that weren't awake have woken up. I actually talked to 2 or 3 people yesterday at the end of my talk who said, "Thank you very much. The last 5 years just woke me up. I finally saw that everything was bullshit, and it's amazing. I can't believe that everyone can't see it." So yes, the last 5 years has woken people up. The problem is the rest of the people. What kind of event does it need to be to wake them up? It's either got to be unbelievably catastrophic or unbelievably profound. And the problem with the topic that we're dealing with, UFO, UAP, what's that? It's Bluebeam. You know what I mean? Like that's Project Bluebeam. They create a distraction to say that there's aliens in the sky, and it creates a one world government.
Yeah. I found too, everyone is sort of becoming a bit more aware and awoken in regards to governments and that. But I find that now a lot of people are becoming a bit too awoken and thinking everything is a conspiracy.
This is the problem. Yeah, this is the problem. Those of us that have been in the conspiracy, I remember when I was a weirdo for being a conspiracy theorist, right? That's how long I've been a conspiracy theorist. Remember when it was weird?
Yeah.
Whereas I think we're up 50-0 now.
And now
it's trendy now, isn't it?
Yeah.
To talk about it now. Before it was like no one would go near you.
No one going, yeah. I was a conspiracy theorist before it was cool. However, it's the event would have to be so mind-bending to wake the rest of the population up to out of the Monday to Friday 9 to 5 3-dimensional. But I wonder whether or not there's those of us that aren't supposed to as well.
Someone said to me once, who is controlling it? Is it the NHI or is it the governments?
Or is there a deeper
That was
state than the
someone said
government?
to me
Yeah.
once, and there were none of any real relevance in the field, but they threw one back at me when I was researching, going, but what happens if it isn't the governments that control it? Maybe it's something higher up that controlled it. And it was like, that's a different way. There was, like I said, there was no one special, no one that was in a secret organisation. They just had a throwback line at me. I was like, well, there's a point there. They could have a point.
Yeah.
Well, what was that lady's name? The spheres, that she seems to think there's 50 to 100,000 spheres that are in low Earth orbit, that those spheres drop in and out. I can't remember her name.
But yeah, Beatrice Villarol, she's just done some groundbreaking research on these. Ross talked about it briefly in his Q&A yesterday, that they've found, I think she calls them the term transients, where these these telescope plates from the 50s have recorded 70 to 100,000 specular objects, and then in plates that are taken 50 minutes later in a long exposure are not there. So does that point to defects in the plates? Does it point to the question of, well, maybe we should try and dig deeper and see if this is something that is truly anomalous? That the interesting thing about Beatrice Villarol's work is there seems to be a correlation with these plates being in the 1950s, in 1952, around the exact same time that the Washington DC flap happened.
Yeah, that's right.
And her research, I think it's in preprint publication, so it's yet to go through a formal peer review. But Ross recently did a Q&A with her on reality check, so it'll be very interesting to see what traction her research takes.
Didn't a lot of those plates get damaged from that time, from the 50s?
I don't know enough about.
Well, they lost the technology to go to the moon, so
yeah.
But now we can go to the moon with our phones.
Yeah, that's right.
We still haven't gone back yet.
Well, and now apparently they're wanting to build nuclear power plants on the moon. There's this discussion that they're wanting to have a base for a nuclear power generation on this. So,
well, let's go there. Right, we're at the UFO Festival. Do we have? Okay, so let's paint it. Let me paint a picture. Well, hang on. Let's ask you a question. TR3B, real or not?
I have no idea, but if you take into account all of the,
well, okay, let's pretend. We can neither confirm nor deny any of this. What do you think?
I would say there's enough anecdotal evidence out there in the public domain to suggest that people are reporting observations of triangular shaped craft that exhibit no sound, no propulsion, that are something that they've never seen before. So I think that warrants further scrutiny and investigation.
Yeah.
Just look at the progress in flight from the Second World War, when the Germans had jet Messerschmitt, to what we've got now. There's a huge step in generational how it's developed. There's something missing. There's such a quick process to get from where they are from then, 1944, to now.
Quick yet slow, because the reality is it's a variation on the jet engine. Even an F-22 Raptor is a variation on a jet-fueled engine. Even supposedly the B-2 is still a jet engine, but I've seen what that is very, very quiet. I think the B-2 might be more than they say it is, to be perfectly honest, because they were at Amberley, and you like this.
Yeah.
Me and we're doing a bit of podcast stuff, and we walk down the driveway. Oh, tonight's the night we're going to see a UFO. Tonight's the night. And here's these 3 dots coming in, can't see it, can't hear it. And what is that? It looks like it was crabbing like this. And then, we find out the next day the B-2s are in town. We did not hear that until it was right there. And even when we did, it was moving very slow. To think about what it is, I don't know what the B-2 is. I think that might have some tech. But like I said in my talk yesterday, in 1957, you could order a Cadillac Eldorado with cruise control, air suspension, electric seats, power windows, power steering, air conditioning, a primitive GPS, and really the only thing that's advanced in the modern vehicle is the audio.
Yeah, and they're charging us $120,000 for a bloody car.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's still internal combustion. It's still jet engine. I would say it's like, we perfected the jet engine in the 60s and 70s. and then there's nothing.
Well, what's changed is signature management, the ability.
For fighter planes and aerial technology,
So,
yes, yeah.
You know, cloaking and the ability for signatures not to be detected. But you're right, we're still on combustible tech. Like you throw something out the back, it propels you.
It's still push-pull, exactly. Yeah.
So then it comes back to where we started, the whole Tic Tac argument. And this is a big if Lockheed Martin is behind truly exotic technology like the Tic Tac that exhibits no propulsion, no flight surfaces, nothing. It's something that we have no one has seen in the public sphere on the battlefield. It begs the question: why have taxpayers been funding?
Yeah,
and this is in the US and in
combustion
Australia
projects. Yeah,
why are taxpayers funding the military to spend billions and trillions of dollars of technology that has been superseded by technology that still continues to be in the dark and in the black?
And who benefits out of only having combustible engines and jet engines?
Well, and again we come back to control.
Exactly.
Right. In the back end of 21, 22, I broke my mind because I realized that maybe this has been this whole control and everything, the pharmaceutical, the petroleum, everything else like that. Because you go back to technology, the first car was electric in the 1800s and it ran for ages. There was no need to actually go to combustion engines. You know, Henry Ford built a car out of hemp. He built an engine that ran on hemp oil. You know what I mean? Like there's been so many chances to, and we don't have to talk about advanced tech. There's the guy in the 70s in South Australia that built the ceramic engine that ran off water that required no maintenance, that was as powerful as the 202 at the time. He got bought out and then he crashed into a tree, the only tree within a 10-kilometer radius. But he found it sideways at 100 k's an hour. You know, like there's been so many chances in the 20th century to move even just the technology we have forward. Right, there's the thunder generator that's been going around the last couple of years as well. It's utilizing plasmoids and stuff like that. But again, that's labeled conspiracy. Yet the engine is working. I've seen it working, and it's like the question is, how does it work, or why is it working? And technically, that can attach to that Hilux over there. You put a thunder generator on that, and it becomes twice as efficient, 3 times as efficient, and doesn't emit anything. But that technology never finds ground because who's in control?
And the sad reality history repeats. I mean, Tesla. Exactly. What happened to Tesla?
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was going for wireless electricity, and that was shut down because his competitor wanted to have competitive advantage.
But fascinatingly, we without Tesla, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing right now.
That's right. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So what do you think? This is a question for everyone. What will it take to break the dam?
I still go with society. Society has to want it enough, in my eyes, for anything to happen, because governments are quite happy to sit there, big corporations are quite happy to sit there with an arrogance that they don't have to do anything. But unless society's views change, and I said, outside of this niche, the majority, from the kids going to school to students to mums and dads, have got to want it. It's got to be more aware. They go, enough's enough. Like I said, I think more people have changed over the last 5 years.
Definitely more people are open to it, for sure, yeah.
And do first-hand whistleblowers help advance that conversation?
Definitely.
I think so.
A little bit, yeah. Like we do need more whistleblowers.
We haven't had any first-hand.
Well, it comes back to share the high-fidelity video, but scrub it.
Yeah.
Show us exactly what you've got. And look, we haven't talked about this yet. Apparently, the mothership's turning up in November, boys.
I was going to bring up Avi Loeb. What are your thoughts on Avi Loeb there? Because he's, back when we had the that meteorite Oumuamua coming through there, he was one to go and claim that, it's a UFO, some sort of spaceship coming through, and now he's come back again. But
clarify that he said it was an anomalous object that came from outside of the solar system that passed through, that came from somewhere else.
That's where he's trying to go and possibly claim as a UFO. But then I think the whole UFO community sort of jumped on him because he's Harvard professor and all sorts of stuff. And he's a bit of a heavy hitter in that sort of regard. And that's what the UFO community wants. They want someone who's, supposed to be smart, sort of be able to, rule out things, and explain things a lot better and professionally. So I think they ran with him for a long time there. And now he's come back again claiming this next one in November is going to be another alien invasion. But like,
Well, I think you have to listen very carefully to what Avi Loeb says. What he's doing that's different to mainstream science is he's daring to ask the question about, well, what about this as an alternative hypothesis? He's actually come out and said that the atlas is most likely prosaic. It's most likely something that is of natural origin. And it turns out that Hubble telescope has only in the last week narrowed its focus on Atlas, and it looks now probable and more likely that it is a comet with a cometary tail. But and
do we believe that?
Well, it warrants further scientific scrutiny.
Do we believe that?
More data? I don't think you can accept something on blind faith. You have to have additional data,
because that's the same government that locked us inside 3 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Can you believe what they say? So from a conspiracy perspective, I haven't seen that the Hubble pointed it at Atlas. I haven't seen that yet. From a conspiracy perspective, over the last 12 to 18 months, there's been an undercurrent of there's something coming. There's something coming towards us. And people have labeled that the start of Blue Beam, right? That's what they labeled that. And now here we are. It's past Jupiter and it's on its way. The only thing that I heard about the Atlas that and again, this hat isn't tinfoil, but it has got aliens on it, right? I heard it was self-correcting. I heard it was actually correcting itself towards us.
I don't know.
There was something there, but there's theories of like as it's getting closer to the sun, there's gases escaping, which causes its own propulsion, and it's doing something.
Okay,
that was one theory.
Yeah, okay.
And that's like like we were talking before, like we're still trying to figure out what this thing is, and when it comes to people like say Avi Loeb trying to claim it could be extraterrestrial or something like that, does a lot of damage to a bit of the scientific community or even the UFO community, because
this was the conversation we had at 1:30 in the morning.
There's not enough evidence to go and try and claim alien. Like we shouldn't, like as I've mentioned a lot, we shouldn't be calling things out alien. Shouldn't be throwing the alien card out there so quickly before we, be a bit more analytical and critical on something there. It's too quick to go and judge and throw it out there and saying alien.
I've got a question though. How do you engage the general public? Because a lot of the guys talk hypotheses, theories, data, science. The young lad playing his PlayStation at home couldn't give two shits about that. And he couldn't. That would send him to sleep. And I would be going like, good on you, Dad.
Yeah.
We need to find a way to engage the general public. Then people seeing very, very intelligent, very well qualified scientists there and data analysts. That would send the general public to sleep. There's got to be another way of looking at it. And
the unfortunate thing that's happened over the last 5 years is that we've lost our trust in a lot of science as well.
Institutions,
yeah, we've lost
there is a greater lack of public trust today than I think there has ever been.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I don't know what to go back to your question, Grant. I don't know what would tip the scale short of them, visiting us at the, pulling up at the wharf. Like if they. If they are out there or they are ultra terrestrials or they are here with us, unless they actually reveal themselves, then I don't know what would change it. And my problem is I shudder to think what the event would be to actually really shift the perspective, because it could be pretty bad.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that. Like president sort of coming forward or every government leader around the world coming out there and saying, yes, we have NHI technology, or we know something is out there. That'd probably be a good break. But also, I've said this before too, they literally need to go and land on the front doorsteps of every single government in the country and going, hey, look, we are here. G'day. Let's have a beer and go and have a chat. And this is where you're going wrong, or, whatever they need to talk about,
But I suppose, okay, let's pretend that we're pretending that we're human. We are the aliens now, right? We've got our Earth pass. Would you choose America? Who would you choose to actually reveal yourself to?
That's why I say they need to go at the same time, every single different country.
Yeah, you think so? One in Canberra, send a whole heap of ships out. Righto, we're here.
Yep,
and we've been here the whole time.
That would have to be it.
Will there be a true the day the Earth stood still moment?
Yeah, exactly.
And do you think there would be mass panic?
I think it would be 50-50. I think you'll have, once, and let's say this happens 10, 20 years from now, I think the baby boomer generation will be gone.
Yeah, they're passing through.
They're past, and that's a very different that's a very different mindset to what Gen Y and the current generation has. So I think if something was to happen in the next 10, 20 years, I think you'll have a cohort of the population that is very accepting of the fact that we're not alone in the universe. It's statistically improbable that we're not. And then I think you will have the cohort of those that are heavily embedded in their faith, that it will either come as an ontological shock to their belief system, but then for others, like for example, the Latter-day Saints, the Mormons, who already have a belief
in their
system
doctrine,
that's in alignment with their belief system.
Scientology, I suppose, as well. Somewhere along the line.
So I think it's going to be a mixed bag.
Do you think? Well, okay, let's pretend it's the humans that are in control, and it's just nasty, psychopathic, narcissistic, seem to be pedophilic, crazy people that run the world. Are they going to release control? I mean, one of the memes I've loved over the last few years is like the aliens are going to be super confused when they rock up saying, we're here to take over and we're all stoked to help. It's like, yeah, what do you need? Yeah, let's go. Yeah, what do you need? Yeah, is it better where you are? Let's come. You know what I mean?
Pick me.
Yeah, because our distrust, even if that did happen, I wonder what because it seems to me that they're hell-bent on trying to push us into World War III. That's my observation.
It seems that way.
It seems that way. From a certain, depending on how the next couple of years go, history will dictate that World War III has probably already started.
Yep.
If you think about World War II.
At the beginning of the beginning,
yeah, right? It's,
it's certainly in the background. And
they would probably say Russia invading Ukraine was the start.
And you hear media already pushing that narrative.
They're already pushing that narrative. They have been for ages.
That catchphrase keeps coming up more and more in the mainstream media.
Yeah. But like, why is there a need for it though? Like, what are your thoughts on
we don't have
why
to
do we
turn up.
need to have to go to World War III?
We don't. This is the whole, and I wonder whether there's a delusion. Because look, I know some guys that are in the army. Let me tell you, the Australian Army is in shambles because they adopted all the woke stuff, right? Through the DEI bullshit. They put that in the Australian military. And it basically, and anyone worth their salt decided not to comply during COVID, and then the rest left because of the woke stuff.
Yeah.
Right? That's the reality. Most militaries around the world are in shambles. They want to start, especially from a Western perspective, if they want to start World War III, you and whose army, mate? Because, I mean, I don't know about you boys. If they gave me a call and said, you need to come and fight World War III.
Up yours, I'm not going.
No, is the answer to that question.
Is there a risk that...
And do you think, sorry, just to finish the thought, do you think the 18 to 25-year-olds that you've met recently, are they going to go?
Oh, no.
That's what I'm going to say. Is there a risk of the draft being reinstated? And if it was, would you see a mass revolt?
You would, I think.
Yeah, of people just saying, no, F you, I'm not going to war for my country for no good reason.
Yeah, from an Australian perspective, there's no patriotism at all. No one.
No. Yeah. I mean, look at recruitment in the ADF is way down.
Way down. That's what I mean. The army's in the shambles. Has been for a long time across the entire defence force, across the American military. And I suppose what I've learned is 8 years as a podcaster, I've spoken to either through email or I've had people on the show everywhere across the world. And we join together on these thoughts, on these topics. These battle lines, culture, color, creed, religion, are all bullshit. It doesn't actually matter. We're all humans on the same big blue ball hurtling through infinity. And my experience through teaching and my experience through the podcast is that most people are cool. Doesn't matter where they're from. You can find common ground with any person. And I think if we actually truly understood that, like, I don't want to go to some other country and shoot some dude. He didn't do anything to me. You know what I mean? And we'd probably, if I talked to him for 5 minutes, we'd probably sit down, we're having a chat, having a beer, like, learning from each other. And like, I wonder, there's not the same, and it has to be a hell of an event for us to decide to, I don't think we have the hatred, or I don't know. I'm losing my, do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. No, it's too laid back anyway. Like, we don't care.
Well,
we're like
problem too, though. That is a problem too, though, because we're under an immense amount of control.
Yeah, like, but we've always been like a bit of a, known for a laid back sort of country. regarding everything. Like, but until something really pops up that affects us, we still don't want to do anything about it. As we were talking before, like we're inflation's going up there, but yet we don't do anything about it. We just go, oh right, cool, no worries.
We're definitely bad peasants.
Yeah.
Well, you see,
no, we're good peasants.
Well,
we're good peasants for them. Yeah,
that's right.
Especially when you look at the political issues in England and Europe at the moment.
Yes.
And it's no different in Australia. But what's Australia doing? When I come over here, you gave up your guns so quickly over Port Arthur. It was an excuse. Not saying that wasn't a tragedy, but you guys are very relaxed, laid back, unlike the Europeans will have a protest. The French have a protest over anything.
Yeah, that's right.
And Australia's very laid back, which is a good thing in a way. It's why a lot of us guys come over here, but also something might pass you by and it's too late.
That's right. We allow things to just happen when we probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that when did COVID stop? When 1 million people turned up at Canberra. Because every person was at Canberra, there was 10 people that wanted to be there. And they knew that. Literally, if you that the march to Canberra was in January or February that year in 22, they let us out in May. The protest grew and they went, oh, we better stop now. We better stop.
Yeah. And that was like around the whole world.
Around the whole world. The protest went, this is all bullshit. Oh, yeah, no, we're going to war again. And it literally happened in the same week. People don't remember, but it literally happened in the same week. However, the thing about Aussies, though, is that, and I wonder whether that's still the same. Like our generation, cool, we're all cool and laid back, but you push us into a corner, that's not a good idea. Right? Right? Yeah, be cool. Everyone's cool. But if you make me get up off the couch, then whatever happens next is not my problem. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, compliance is a double-edged sword, isn't it? It's both a blessing and a curse. But if we bring it back to NHI, say there is World War III, it's full-blown, it's assured mutual destruction without a doubt. If what we've been told is true about NHI,
will they intervene? Being
attracted to the nuclear, us playing with the matches, and we start lighting the matches, will there be an intervention?
Yeah. There always has been talks, though, when with the governments like US or Russia or whoever it is, has been very close to pushing that red button there. And then there's always been talks of, some sort of strange object coming in close to these sites
to that stuff.
And turning off all the switchboards, everything that cut off the launch of the nuke.
There's a whole raft of that stuff where the nuke's been switched off or it's been destroyed, and that's UAP, Tic Tacs, or even those spheres sort of.
So, boys, now would be a good time.
Yeah. G'day. Hello.
Well, lads, I think we're the cafe's starting to close up here.
Yeah, we're approaching an hour, and you got to talk to prepare for and all that sort of stuff. At least we got this episode out. It's a shame it wasn't live, but we got this episode out.
Would have loved it.
What I'll do is, I'll give it to you, Leigh. You can use it whatever you like.
Thank you.
I'll give it for Unexplained Rundown, EDU, UTC. Look, gentlemen, I would really. Unfortunately, we live in different places in the world, so the next time we do this will probably be over Zoom or remote. However, let's get back together. I like this energy. I love this conversation. I think we need to continue it. And as I said, Leigh, I would love to help you promote the documentary in any way, please, mate. I'd love to hear some of your paranormal stories. Grant, you're coming back as well.
Oh, happily.
Happy as
Yeah. Well, what me and Anthony spoke about, Grant, and maybe Leigh as well, is that there's a lot of people that can't be here that didn't hear our talks.
Yeah.
So maybe what we could do is host on each other's platforms and deliver our talks that we gave here at Cardwell to the rest of our listeners around the world.
Good idea.
And then we can share alike. It's like, okay, we can make it a special. Yeah, this is, Triffon and Anthony delivered at Cardwell. You can chuck it on yours. We chuck yours on ours. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
And do a bit of collaboration in that way, because there was the talks are really cool. The information was amazing, and I think more people need to hear it. So maybe we'll talk behind the scenes and get that done.
Absolutely.
It's a pleasure, gentlemen. Lovely to finally meet you boys face to face and spend some time. And thank you again to Cardwell. Thanks for having us. Yeah. Thanks to Chris. Oh, he's gone. Thanks, Chris.
Before we get done, Leigh, are you open for people to go and contact you and get in touch with you as well?
I'll give you my details and you can add them underneath.
Plug it now, mate. Plug it where people
plug it now, and I'll put a link in the chat.
You can go to Devilz Lane Productions, DevilzLane Productions @gmail.com.
Yep.
If they want to contact me with anything, you can look me up on Facebook, Devilz Lane Productions, Disclosure, Australia's Alien Encounters. Both those pages are on Facebook, or my own Leigh Phillips on Facebook. You can send me a message on there.
Excellent. What about you, Grant? Where are you?
So podcast, The Unexplained Rundown, YouTube and Spotify. I'm most active on X in terms of engagement. So just at Grant Levac. If you want to pop me an email, grantlevac@protonmail.com. And yeah, happy to answer anyone's queries.
Yeah,
Awesome.
excellent.
Cool,
And
cool.
EDU, UTC.
They know where to go.
Yeah, they know
by
where
now.
to go. No, well, actually, we shouldn't assume that. Because we're going to have a lot of new listeners after Cardwell.
That's true too.
So if you want to reach out to me, unlocking the code, the number 9@gmail.com. If you want to, any topics, please get in touch with me. I am going to get some more shirts because I sold out pretty quickly. And it's your email.
Yep. So Kenya's down under on all the socials there, Facebook,
unlocking the code, Facebook, Instagram,
YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, where you can listen in, tune into, do a lot of live chats on there. So which is good because I like interacting with live. But yeah, also reach out to Australian UFO sightings at outlook.com.au. Get in touch there, or via the Facebook page, whichever suits you.
Awesome, guys. Well, again, pleasure.
Yep.
And I think I'll see you next year. I don't know about you guys, but it's going to be super fun.
Come back.
And again, another massive shout out to Seabreeze Cafe there, to Stu and Monique here for having us here again. Like an absolute setup. Perfect. It's great here. And there's someone else I think I need to go and thank. UTC boys.
Thanks to Daniel and Brian and
Jesus God. Look, a big thank you to Chris. He's been here with me all weekend.
He's been honest as well. He's been honest as well. He's like, me and Anthony are just sort of floating around. It's all good. He's like, we're gonna go here. We're gonna do this.
He's been on the book stick. I'm like, we've got to go. Come on. I was like,
secret sauce right there.
Absolutely. And look, it takes all, and everyone, like, as I say, many appreciation to my boys who came up and represented Unlocking the Code, and it was amazing. It's just been such a cool experience, and I can't wait to sit down with you guys again.
Yeah, and thank you to everyone who's come over on the weekend up here to Cardwell to see it.
Absolutely.
Meeting us in there in the presentations and stuff a lot.
I was amazed and humbled by the amount of people that stayed for my presentation and the amount of people that wanted to have a chat to me afterwards. I never thought for a second that's what was going to happen.
It was amazing.
And it was amazing. And I really appreciate everyone's time. And thank you for having us, Cardwell.
And again, thanks to the Australian UFO Sightings Festival there and all the volunteers there as well. So, thank you.
Excellent job. Good on you guys.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.